Today's cartoon is brought to us by the people who made this!
Bad happens to my friends, I'll rip every tooth out of that shark and I'll make them into the most beautiful necklace you've ever seen.
Let me just say right now, this is one of the most tedious pieces of crap to ever follow the It's Just a Kid Show line of thinking. I've never seen Puppy in My Pocket toys before, but from what I can gather, it's either a ripoff of Polly Pocket or a ripoff of Littlest Pet Shop, or a ripoff of both of them. Either way, it doesn't have much of its own identity. But that doesn't even begin to describe the problems of the show. Let's start, as we always do, with the theme song.
You want a puppy to love, a new best friend from above.
Hear it twice and it will never leave your head. And that's bad because it's so bubbly and up-tempo that it gets really annoying really fast. Not to mention that the lyrics are hackneyed beyond all belief.
When you're sad and you're feeling lonely and you don't know what to do, there's a new best friend on the way from Pocketville just to meet you. Some puppy love to be there by your side.
Also, look at that flash animation. It looks semi-decent in stills, but in motion it dives right into the uncanny valley. But the bad theme song and the terrible flash animation is just a couple of nitpicks next to the two real problems with this. This episode starts off with another fucking song that sounds exactly like the theme song. Great.
Find a friend forever in Pocketville and believe in a puppy love story.
No. Don't remind me of Puppy Love. Do not remind me of that. Okay, problem one. Nothing in the story makes any fucking sense whatsoever. I don't know who any of these characters are, what they're trying to do, or the rules of the show. To the show's benefit, it seems to have a similar continuity to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's a continuous story just segmented into parts. And, it takes a special kind of talent to pull that off and not completely alienate new potential viewers. This cartoon does not have that talent.
Let the friendship ceremony begin. Let the spirit of the friendship heart light the way to the magic fountain.
Okay, now you've noticed the second big problem with this. The lip syncing. It is terrible. Like, the worst that I've ever seen. And that includes low-budget anime. Half of the time they repeat frames to attempt and fail to get the illusion of speaking. The other half of the time, they speed things up or slow them down. Though to be fair, the accents are so thick, I can barely figure out what's going on anyway. I thought I wouldn't complain about the lip syncing, since this may have started in a different country and a different language. But guess what? Mondo TV's other big claim to fame, Tentaclino, had perfect lip syncing. And thus, this has no excuse whatsoever. So this magic bullshit here shows an image of a cat, and suddenly a girl gets a cat. Then the other animals start talking about a princess.
I don't want to get your hopes up, but we're getting closer. Really? Don't get too excited. We're trying.
I just can't get over this. The lip syncing is so fucking bad. Like, really fucking bad. I'd actually prefer it if they talked over still frames, believe it or not. Then they could at least claim they were going for some kind of style.
Go on, Kate. Don't keep us in suspense.
Give us the bad news first. Then we can get it out of the way.
Every single voice in this thing is terrible. It has some good voice actors, but each voice is either in a terrible falsetto, gets grating after 30 seconds, or it is in such a thick accent that it can't be understood. The whole point of this friendship ceremony is to tell the audience that the princess had been kidnapped, and then it's never mentioned again.
The bad news is that the Pet Buster's house, where Ava is prisoner, is built like a fortress. The good news is that it may be strong, but I think it may have a weak spot.
The bad news is that all of our operatives have been captured, and they are being tortured mercilessly, and we have no idea where the hell they are. They're probably gonna die in 24 hours. But the good news is that they just might have weaknesses, even though we have no clue what it is. They can't get through a window to this building because never mentioned. And they can't get through the door because it needs a key on a gate that they can't climb over. Then we learn that there's a surveillance camera, and the building has an alarm system.
Good morning. Are your alarm systems as foolproof as your ads say? Are they foolproof?
You know, Control-Alt-Delete the animated series may have been as low budget as all hell, but at least they got basic lip syncing down. As for the security system, we'll get to how well that works in a bit. Back to the castle. This girl apparently has a lot of friends in Pocketville, but the only grown-up she can count on is her father. Look, if I tried to piece together the fragments of the story, we'd be here all day. We're just gonna have to take the Tentaclino approach. fitting, isn't it? The main point is that the Princess Kitty is inside the pound thing and the girl wants to get her out with the help of her talking animals. Surprisingly, that's not the worst premise for a cartoon that I've ever heard.
How will you be able to get inside the house? Well, it's kind of hard to explain.
Just trust her, it's a great plan. Do you really have a plan, Katie?
Make a cartoon with some effort! Anyway, Polly here. Yeah, she has a different name, but I don't fucking care. She's a ripoff of Polly Pocket, so I'm gonna call her Polly.
A map of the Pet Buster's house. As you can see from this, there's only one way to get inside.
First of all, how can you make a map of a house that you've never been in before? 2, that's not a map, that's a photo. Polly says that she wants to get in through the front door, even though she said she couldn't get in through the door before. They decided they have to use the key. Why they didn't think of that sooner, I have no fucking idea. Maybe they've got brains made of jelly. I wouldn't be surprised.
I know it's dangerous, and I haven't thought about how we'll get the key yet.
We cut to the princess. The Pet Buster, the villain of this thing, is talking on the phone to the princess's evil twin because, yeah, she has one of those. And why they're talking to each other through seashells, I don't know. The evil twin wants to be the princess of Pocketville, and that's all we ever learn about her.
Keep your eyes open. That little girl Kate will try to free my sister.
Do you think I'd be fooled by a little girl?
Don't underestimate her. I'm telling you from experience.
Ah yes, the girl who thought a photo was a map and wanted to do something dangerous even though she hadn't thought it through should not be underestimated. Let me guess, is she a computer genius that's ditzy in all other areas? Actually, that would be a pretty good idea. And this show doesn't have any good ideas. The Pet Buster leaves and locks the gate. This tells them that they need the red key, and they chase down his car, on foot. The Pet Buster walks into a bar, and the unsupervised miner follows after him.
We don't steal. Stealing is wrong.
Well, the Pet Buster's done something wrong. He kidnapped Ava.
That's true, but 2 wrongs don't make a right. Well, if the Pet Buster were to leave his keys on the counter, we could grab them and take them to his house and give them back.
It'd be like doing him a favor.
And while we're in the house, nobody will be there to stop us.
Isn't that a great message to send to little girls? If your parents forget their car keys, you should return it to them, but feel free to use them first. So the dogs attack the Pet Buster, and instead of subduing these apparently wild dogs, the bartender just tells the Pet Buster to run.
Do those keys belong to somebody?
They belong to that man with the dogs.
Would you be so kind as to give them to him?
Yeah, just hand over someone's keys to literally anyone. Remind me never to go to that place. They suck. Then, while the security camera is watching them, they throw a cloth over it.
Now the video camera can't film us. Good work.
Except it was filming you while you were throwing it on it. That makes you a prime suspect for whatever's going to happen. Then they spend an inordinate amount of time trying to get the key to work, because Polly here has jelly for brains. Thus ends part 1. What was accomplished? They managed to walk through a fucking gate. That's it. In part 2, our first obstacle is some laser tripwires.
Magic, do you remember the film we saw on TV the other day? The main character was a technology whiz. And he had the same problem. He used this!
What's that?
It's mosquito repellent.
Bothersome insects.
Yep, you just saw that. They set up an obstacle with the solution right next to them. And guess what? It actually fucking works! They enter the pound area and get caught on an obvious camera that Jelly Brains didn't see. She lets out all the animals, and for all I know, she could be letting out a bunch of animals with dangerous rabies. So yeah, a little girl walked into a pound and let all the animals out, and now they're probably going to get hit by a car in the big city or something. And after everyone else is free, Jelly Brain lets out the princess. All of a sudden, a crow comes out of nowhere and the bars come out of the floor. Why that wasn't done sooner to stop the animals from getting away, I don't know.
Now, we'll give the good news of your capture to Eva, the future queen of Pocketville.
I thought that Pocketville had princesses. Oh right, princesses are the good guys and queens are the bad guys. Fuck off. We cut to Eva and her 2 goons who are polishing something, and the shell phone starts ringing. Then the Princess Ava talks to her evil twin.
I didn't become evil. I've always been that way.
Another great lesson to teach the kids. It's probably right up there with if you love and obey your parents, Martians will abduct them, suck out their brains to raise an army, and blow them up, and it will be all your fault. Then again, nothing would be stupid enough to try and teach that moral. Back in the past, the evil twin tries to kill the princess by dropping a branch on her. It doesn't kill her and only breaks her paw. Instead of finishing the job right then and there, the evil twin goes to get the doctor.
The truth is that back then I already couldn't stand you.
Join the club, I can't stand any of these fucking characters. There's a reason that shows like this don't usually try to throw in epic tales of good versus evil, and that's mostly because it makes any backstory convoluted as all hell. These kind of shows lend themselves best to slice of life stories that can be watched in any order. Out of nowhere, Jelly Brain knows that a certain button can release the bars. She's never been in this building, that button didn't raise the bars, and no one told her about it. She didn't even watch it on that television show either. She's a fucking psychic, like Psyduck. The princess starts talking to the crow in order to distract her, and Jelly Brain goes to collect all of the collars. Then she throws the collars at the button. Miraculously, it hits. You know what? I'd love to see what would happen if she missed. They almost escape, but run face to face with the Pet Buster himself, and he's got a bat. So instead of running past him, they hide in a closet, a room with no windows and only one door.
Are you still in there, little girl? Why don't you open up and come out nicely?
Not on your life!
Kate, open this door immediately!
Dad, is that you? Is that really you? I'll open the door.
Yep, they managed to jam-pack even more stupid in. Jelly Brain is in trouble for breaking into a place that houses stray animals and gives them food and shelter. Maybe that's not what's going on, but this cartoon has given me barely any reason to think otherwise. Considering that Jelly Brain is an idiot and thinks she can talk to animals, that thing from earlier just might have been one of her delusions. Her father has to pay for damages, the princess cat gets put back in her cage, Jelly Brain is grounded for 2 weeks, and every viewer has lost 22 minutes of their life and 22 million brain cells. This was one of the most stupid pieces of shit that I've ever seen. But you know, it's a children's cartoon, and this is the standard, so there's nothing wrong here. Hell, cartoons should be more like this and less like Adventure Time, Avatar, Steven Universe, the original Teen Titans. I was being sarcastic if you couldn't tell. If you think kids deserve this kind of shit, or any of the kind of shit I review, then why are you even watching my videos?